From weekend getaways to extended road trips, California is full of places to explore. And for over 100 years, the Auto Club has been there to help. Our travel agents offer you expertise regarding destination information, trip planning and reservations, either in office, on the phone, or online. Across the state, throughout the country, or around the world, through all life's travels, we're always with you.
Road Trip has been made possible by the Automobile Club of Southern California.
Hello everybody, I'm Huell Howser, and here we are getting ready to spend the whole day in a place I have been avoiding like the plague for years. Now, it's not that I didn't think this was a nice little community, it's just that I had this image of it being a tourist trap, only tourists coming here. And I don't particularly like to spend all my time hanging out with tourists. But recently I've been enlightened. I got some information in the mail that let me know that this place not only is a great place for tourists to visit, but this is a real town with real people living here. And more importantly, it's a town with a very rich history. So here we are, we've come up to Santa Barbara County, and we're going to spend the whole day in this nice little town of Solvang. We're on a road trip. Okay, here we are. We're walking down Copenhagen Street in Solvang, and I've got our whole little entourage here. You all are from the Visitors Bureau.
We are.
And your name is?
Jeff Paskey.
And Jeff, you are a resident here of Solvang, and we're going to get a little bit of the history of Solvang as we take this walking tour, because that's what this little brochure is all about, a self-guided walking tour of historic Solvang. And this is what sold me on coming here.
Very good.
I opened this thing up and it's got all kinds of points of interest and history.
Exactly.
Here in town.
Exactly, Huell. And I think that's what people don't realize. We have things that go back to the early 1900s here.
Yeah, because you didn't hear what I said at the beginning of this, but I said I'd always thought this was a tourist trap and I'd been avoiding it like the plague.
Well, we're certainly glad you realize that we've got more to offer.
Because this is a real town.
It is a real
with
town.
Real people.
It does.
And real and very rich history.
Very much so.
All right, we're going to take some of the tour today, but we're starting off at your restaurant. It's called the Solvang Restaurant, because you said that no day is complete without starting it off with a...
Aebleskiver.
With a what?
Aebleskiver, Danish pancake ball.
A Danish pancake ball.
Yeah, we get them nice and round and top them with raspberry jam and powdered sugar.
Now, this is what they look like up close. We just finished kind of looking at them inside, getting cooked. It's kind of an interesting way that you make these things. You just, what is it, just dough in a little skillet there?
Well, it's a special pan called an aebleskiver pan, of course. And you pour the dough in and you turn it with a knitting needle till they're nice and round and let them cook till they're done on the inside.
And this is an old, original Danish food.
Yes, over in Denmark, this is a traditional holiday dish. Easter and Christmas you'll find it, but here in Solvang, every day.
Every day's Christmas.
Every day's Christmas.
Can you hold these so I can, what do? Just pick one up? Oh, you use a fork?
Yeah, they're nice and hot.
Oh my gosh, I can't. It's like a little hot dough ball.
Pancake ball.
Pancake ball.
Right.
They're great.
They are great.
Have you all had an what are they called?
Aebleskiver.
Aebleskiver?
I'm going to try one.
Yeah, have you had one?
Not lately.
Well, you can't come to Solvang and not start off your day without one of these things.
That's right.
Go in there and have a bite. This kind of gets us off on the right foot, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
All right, now where do we go? Because you're kind of the,
I'm sorry.
what are you running for office or something? You're welcoming them to town as a member of the Visitors Bureau.
I am. That's my job.
Where are we going to go next?
We'll probably leave
that
it up
was
to
good.
Mr. Paskey to tell you some of the historical spots. We have, actually, this is one on the historical walking map.
What is this?
166, when it was, jeepers, you're catching me off guard here. It was an Anderson and Matheson pool hall and barber shop.
Ah, so what you've done is you've kind of marked off the things as they were when this town was first established back in
1911.
Okay, now why was this a Danish community? Can we walk down here and kind of talk a little bit about it? Because didn't your relatives come here and start this place?
Well, my great-grandfather was one of the people that was in charge of finding a community to settle up so they could buy property. So as people came over from the old world, they would have a place to go, buy some property. Eventually they built a Danish school so they could learn art, things to do in our new country. So
why did they come here?
Well, probably because of the climate. A lot of them were farmers, dairy people, and as they bought property, they came in and bought one piece and then they sold it to the new people coming in so they would have a place to settle in the New World.
How many people came here in 1911? How many initial settlers were there?
Well, there were 7 in the beginning, and by the end of the first year, there were about 75 adults.
So 7 came over and kind of started this little community.
Yes.
It grew quickly to 75, and then what? The word got out in Denmark that Solvang, California was the place to come?
Well, they moved as fast as they could build buildings in the beginning.
Really? And they built them to look Danish?
Absolutely. That came a lot later. Everything back then looked pretty well normal American style.
Oh, so they didn't build the town initially to look like one of their little towns in Denmark.
Well, some of their buildings did. They built the Lutheran Church and Atterdag College, which had a Danish motif to it. But all the central businesses were like good old early American.
Now we're walking up here because this is one of the central parts of town right here, and this is something your grandfather did.
It was my father that built Copenhagen Square, from the windmill down to the bakery. And he was the ones that started the Danish architecture back in the late 40s, early 50s.
Okay, so that's the deal. Around the late 40s, early 50s, they figured out maybe they were onto something if they would recreate the Danish look get people to come here as tourists.
Well, back then, Huell, it wasn't a tourist town. It was a Danish community. And after the war, the Saturday Evening Post did an article on Solvang, which created a lot of people, probably the first tourists to start coming to Solvang. And then, so once this was all built, and the roofs, my father boiled the shingles because...
What do you mean boiled the shingles?
Well, he put all the shingles on there.
And see this. What do you mean boil the shingles?
Well, to get them to bend on the ends, because in Denmark all the roofs were thatched. And a little later you'll see a building in Solvang that has thatch roof, but back then, because of fire danger, you couldn't do it. So he would boil them so they would bend on the end to give it the Danish look to it.
And this is like a copy of a typical Danish windmill.
Actually, this windmill is a copy of one that's at the Freeland Museum in Denmark, where they take all the old buildings and put them together. So Father built this back in the early 60s, and as the tower, which came a lot later after a fire, that's another replica of...
Look at this. What is this back here?
That's a tower in Denmark, and
That's it.
that's about all I really
But, I
know.
mean, is it a
as far-
water tower? Is it a wind tower? Is it a...
Well, that's on the list here,
Oh, I gotcha.
and it's the round tower, and it was an observatory in Copenhagen.
Oh, built in 1642 originally. Originally built as a retail space, it is now a private residence in Denmark.
Correct.
Here, there's a little sign here that says Tower Pizza.
Yeah, but we still have a residence inside it as well.
Oh, you do? Okay. You're kind of laughing over here at all of this. This is all
great.
kind of interesting, isn't it?
It is very unique and different.
Do
Right.
people know any of the history behind any of this when they first pull into town? They really don't, do they?
They don't. And they need to visit the town, they need to talk to the townspeople, they need to go to the Elverhoy Museum where a lot of this is archived there. And all
Where is the
pictures
museum?
Well, we'll find it for you.
Okay, and isn't there a church we need to see too?
Bethania Lutheran Church was the original church. And
Now look in here. This window is full of, this looks like the kind of thing that you would find in Denmark.
Exactly.
This is called what? This work, this type of...
Blue Delft.
Delft. Okay, I've been to Denmark actually years ago.
Oh my God.
It's a long way from here,
It certainly is. And we
but
have-
it has a real nice feel to it when you walk through town.
It does. It's clean, it's safe, it's got a lot of flowers. We try to keep it as pretty as we can. We have a horse-drawn streetcar tour that takes you through a tour through town too.
Wow, yeah, and you do have the flowers out everywhere.
Beautiful.
This is great, and nice big open sidewalks here.
That's true. And the Solvang dancers sometimes performs here on the weekends.
Now we're here during the week. It's a lot more crowded on the weekends.
Yes, it is. Yes, so if you can come up during the week, it's a little more enjoyable to browse through the shops and talk to the locals.
Now, did your dad work on this as well?
Well, actually, my grandfather was over there. He owned the local merchandise 5 and dime store.
Mm-hmm.
And
This is a very interesting look here. Now, this looks like you're in Denmark.
absolutely, the copper roofs. And you'll also notice the storks on the roof. If you have a stork roosting on your roof, that's to bring you good luck. So you'll find a great stork population in Solvang here.
Now we've stopped at a restaurant called Bit of Denmark, and why are we here?
Well, this was one of the first buildings built in Solvang, and what originally was a school, church, and even some of the students had to sleep upstairs because in the new town, while they were building so much, no one had a place to stay.
Now, I've looked in the brochure, and there's a picture of the school in the brochure, and it doesn't look anything like this.
Well, like I said, the Danish architecture came later. Back then, they were just trying to get a roof over their heads, place to do things, activities.
So this was all added as part of this campaign to make this an authentic looking Danish town.
Very true.
Instead of just a town where Danish people moved to live back in 1911.
It's got the old world look to it. Yes.
Absolutely. And up here, this is very interesting up here.
These are the crests of the cities in Denmark that they have selected.
Now you see those all over town.
Well, a lot of these will be in spots where the people are from. Whether they chose these, I'm not sure, but they're authentic crests. Each town has a crest in Denmark.
Do you have a lot of people from Denmark coming over here to visit Solvang?
All the time, I hear people say we're a little bit homesick. We wanted to get back to some good Danish food, and they see the town and they feel like they're at home.
And one of those, what is that I had this morning, that good Danish?
Aebleskiver.
Aebleskiver.
Hello, we're
Now here's a lady here to greet us out in front of a store. It's called Mrs. Dibble's Tea Shop. Are you Mrs. Dibble?
I'm Mrs. Dibble's great-granddaughter-in-law.
You're kidding.
I am not
There really was a
kidding.
Mrs.
There
Dibble.
really was a Mrs. Dibble.
But this looks like an English tea shop. This is supposed to be Denmark.
But we get visitors from all over the world, and we felt that we would add a little bit of the rest of the world and bring England to Denmark. And we serve beautiful English teas, scones, English high tea, and we're told that our scones are the best in the world.
Wow, that's great. So
And
really,
we
this is a
invite you
very
to-
international town, isn't it?
Exactly. We have visitors from all over. We meet people from Europe, from Asia, from any place in the world you name, we get them. They're all delightful, and we love serving them.
And it's kind of international because you could have your morning tea here
Correct.
with one of those
Aebleskivers.
aebleskivers.
And
They
those
could-
are the best.
They could go good with English tea.
You got
It's very
it.
cross-cultural here.
This is it. We're a very international little city here.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Dibble.
Thank you very much, and come in for tea anytime you like.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
How many people come through Solvang on a daily basis? Because it's beginning to kind of pick up. It's not even noon yet, and you can feel the energy of the town picking up, and it's, it's Thursday.
Exactly. Well, you know what, too? It's in the summertime, and school districts and families and school kids get out all different times of the year, and we're already seeing families starting to show up for summertime.
How many people come through here in a year?
Well, we think maybe 1.5 to 2 million people a year.
You're kidding.
Oh, that's quite a. In our visitor centers, two visitor center, last year we saw 85,000 people walking in the door to get a brochure or get some information.
Now, looking across the street here, this begins to really also look like this is what they come here to see, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you can see what after 40, 50 years, what a good representation and authenticity we have. There's another stork, by the way, up there on the.
Yeah, well, there's storks there, their garden. That's good luck.
That's a good luck. If you were in Denmark, you'd want to build a nest, have your stork be there and favor your house. Absolutely. And people ask that question all the time. Where can I get one of those storks? I want to order a stork. I get emails all the time. I want to order a stork. How do I get one of those? So,
how do you order a stork?
You just call me at the Visitors Bureau or email us, and I'll see what I can get one directed towards you.
Now, that's very much of a Danish tradition that I'd never heard of, that storks on top of your roof are good luck.
Absolutely. You certainly want one roosting on your roof if you were in Denmark.
Or in California.
Absolutely.
All right, now how far does town go? Is this I saw on the sign coming into town there only 5,000 people live in Solvang.
5,000 people, and residential out this way and this way, but we're a good we're about a half a mile square, and this is our little inside shopping street, of course, called Copenhagen Drive and Mission out here. So we're about 2-3 blocks long and one big block wide, and we're right kind of in the heart of the village right here.
So people come to Solvang, park their car, and spend the rest of the time just walking around.
Walking is everything. That's why we call it the walking map. And they can sometimes they come up on the Amtrak train to Santa Barbara, which brings their bus right up to Solvang. And some people come to us now don't even bring their car. It's like going, to San Juan Capistrano or anything. Kind of puts us on the track from Santa Barbara. So there's so many different. All roads lead to Solvang.
Oh boy, you are with the Chamber of Commerce, aren't you?
Well,
Visitors Bureau.
That's what the old map said. I thought it was a good way to say it,
And you're handing these things out everywhere we go.
In case people ask what we're doing, this is our historical walking map, and we just hand them out.
Yeah.
Certainly. Actually, it came from the Elverhoy Museum. Some of the historians at the Elverhoy Museum put this together for the town.
Now there's another one of those roofs, but that looks totally different from the one we saw that your dad made.
Yes, this is the authentic roof, and it's probably about 15 years old. And because they found a way that you could put the thatch roof on, because this is all made of straw, where it's fire protected. It's pressure cooked, and they had the people from Denmark come over who do that as an occupation in Denmark to put this roof on.
So this meets all the codes and everything like that.
Our stringent codes of California.
Here's some people waving across the street. Howdy, how y'all doing? Welcome to a little bit of Denmark right here in Santa Barbara County. How you doing?
Good, I'm from Lompoc.
Well, tell us a little bit about why you're here.
We're here because my niece and my sister and my nephew's wife is here from Reno and Sacramento, and we come here every time somebody is here. My sister comes here every time she visits.
Just to kind of get a taste of Denmark, is that it?
Well, yeah, and I've been raised here since I was 11, long time ago. And I love coming back here.
So this is a place locals come as well as tourists. Do you think they're locals or tourists?
It's hard to say.
Are you all locals or tourists? Where are you all from?
Lodi.
Lodi. So you're from the Central Valley.
Yeah.
What do you think about this little bit of Denmark here in Santa Barbara County?
We've always wanted to come here.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean you've always wanted to come here?
We've always talked
Well,
about
we've
it,
always
just haven't done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've always just wanted to come here. We made it a little vacation just to make this a stop. That's all.
And does it come on out here so we can look up the street here? Does it live up to your expectations? Is it kind of what you thought it would be when you came here?
Yeah, it's cute. It's fun. We're hungry. We're gonna go eat.
Now this is pretty right here, right in the middle of town.
It's amazing that a spot right in the middle of Solvang exists, but it was donated back in 1920 from a family that had bought some of the original land here to preserve it for a gathering place.
Wow, this is great. Now I'm looking over your shoulder. Here's Hans Christian Andersen.
A Danish folk hero, wrote all of those fairy tales, The Ugly Duckling, Once Upon a Mattress. And so we've commemoratively put his bust here.
And what else is in the park?
Well, over here we have a replica of an old Viking grave. When the
Viking grave?
Well, when the warriors got killed, they would put these stones there. And this one just tells you how far you are from Denmark.
Oh, you're 11,270 kilometers to Copenhagen.
Yeah, that's just a hop, skip, and a jump over the ocean.
Now I'm hearing the chimes, the bells ringing out over the city.
The Caroline bells.
And you've got a nice little gazebo here.
Exactly. We do our functions here. We have bands come. We have a Danish choir coming the end of this month, and they're going to be performing a men's and boys choir.
And look at this over here. Now see, when you're standing here looking out here,
right,
you could be in Denmark.
Sure, it's beautiful. That's our beautiful antique center. It's quite large. It goes very deep in there.
Now, do you say antique center meaning it's old, or they have antiques inside?
They have a lot of antiques inside.
Is that an old or a new building?
It's an old building with a new face to it.
So again, everything here, all the new structures, everything has to fit into do you have a city code that says that everything has to be?
We certainly do. It has to go through the Board of Architectural Review before anything is painted, changed, or any of the architectural designs put up.
So it has to be 100% Danish.
Exactly. Very strict rules.
This is nice over here, just a little hotel here.
Yeah, you can come and stay here and you feel like you're actually in the little village in itself.
The Royal Copenhagen Motel, and then you've got this whole little block here that is really interesting architecturally.
Yes, and it also has a courtyard on the inside. A lot of Denmark has large courtyards surrounded by their large buildings.
And there's another windmill over there. I didn't know there was but just one windmill in town.
Oh, we have quite a few in the surrounding areas. This one is one of the oldest ones in Solvang.
Okay, we have a needlework shop here. We have galleries. So a lot of your business is kind of set up for the tourist trade, isn't it?
Absolutely. People come to Solvang to find things they can't find at Nordstrom's and Macy's. They like unique things. And in these shops, you'll find a lot of crafts that are unique to Denmark.
And didn't you tell me that there are no chain restaurants in town?
No formula restaurants are allowed in Solvang, which was passed about 5 years ago.
What do you mean formula restaurants?
Well, we have a Subway, and that was one of the last ones that were grandfathered in, so you could not open a McDonald's or a Burger King. You have to go outside the city limits to find any fast food.
So this is all family-run individual restaurants here?
Yes, some for many years, all from Denmark.
We're inside Olsen's Danish Village Bakery, and are you Mrs. Olsen?
I'm Susie Olsen, yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
now,
meeting
is that
you.
a Danish accent I hear?
No, it's an Italian accent.
An Italian accent.
Absolutely.
You married a Dane.
I married a Dane.
Because we heard that this was the place to come in town to get good Danish pastries. What have you got here for us?
That's what most people say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have the apple strudel.
Apple strudel, Scandinavian apple strudel.
We have the strips with a different feeling, apricot, cherry, raspberry. And also we have the famous butter ring, we call it small care.
A butter
Or they
ring.
call it 7 sisters because there is 7 parts in it.
And what are
And
these?
these are the crinkle, the famous Danish crinkle.
The crinkle. That's what I've heard about, the
Danish
crinkle.
crinkle.
Now, isn't your husband, doesn't he make the crinkles?
Well, he does most of the baking here, yes.
Is
yes,
he here? Can we meet
Yes,
him?
he is here.
He's
Please,
here.
follow me
He's back in the...
in the back of the bakery.
Oh, boy. Boy, it smells good back here. Nice to meet you, Huell Howser.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Oh boy, this is what we're looking for.
This is what we're looking for. That's what we're going to be making right now.
These are official Danish
Coffee cakes. We call them kringles.
kringles.
Kringler in Danish.
And
that's the most beloved Danish coffee cake you get in Northern Europe.
Really?
Northern Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Norway. They all love this. They can't have a cup of coffee in the afternoon without this.
Now, are you making them back here?
I'm making it right now.
And isn't this like a third or fourth generation
This is the
bakery?
Third generation, yes.
So
Yeah,
your parents came here from...
My parents and my grandparents had a bakery in Denmark. And then I immigrated over to the United States just to see how it was. My father, he was here many years ago and said, that's the place you want to go. So that's where the land of opportunity. So when the time came for me to decide whether I want to go over and take my bakery over there or start something up over here, I asked him for advice. He said, United States is the place.
So you brought your parents over here.
They closed down the bakery over there and they come over here.
Now, are you doing this the old-fashioned way right
doing
here?
it the old-fashioned way. I'll show you how to do it. This is the Danish dough we have here, which we call wienerbrød.
It's hard to pronounce these words, isn't it?
Well, that's a little bit of a...
It's a tongue twister.
Danish is not a very easy language to learn, I think. But if you know German a little bit, if you know Swiss a little bit, maybe it will be a little bit easier. And of course, Swedish and Norwegian as well.
Now, what is
So
this you're putting?
This is an almond filling.
Almond filling.
Almond filling. And that's what we put in as a base filling, and then we put custard. A nice roll of custard made from scratch. Everything we do here is from scratch.
Oh boy.
And then we have great raisins, California raisins.
Now, they don't use California raisins in Denmark.
Actually, they do.
They do?
Danes eat more raisins than probably the Americans do.
Really?
That's why they're so healthy. Almond paste and raisins are very, very healthy for you.
And then you just roll them over.
No, you kind of fold them over like this.
Fold them over.
Fold them over. And then we have a little bit of egg wash. We put up here. And then we close them up. And all of a sudden you will see it's going to look like that. When they get baked, obviously.
Wow.
Like this.
What a great thing you're doing, you're introducing people to authentic Danish pastry. They probably never had this before.
Well, of course, many of our customers comes from Los Angeles and, you know, down that area. You want to make one?
No. I'll let you go ahead.
Okay.
I haven't washed my hands.
Okay. So here you give it a good stretch, so it appears, you know, good size. And then you take a tray, like this, and then we twist them. And then we give them that crinkle shape.
Ah.
After this, it goes into the steam box for a 20 minutes or so.
So that's it. You
see it right here. That's. But of course, the dough is pre-made already. We make it from scratch, and we make it up every morning, and then we just use it, you know, as we need it.
And it comes out looking like this.
Just like that. Exactly like that.
And they're called once again?
Kringler. In English, kringles.
Kringles.
Yes. As it's a. You ask any Northern European, they know what kringles is. It's a wonderful coffee cake. And like I said, you can never have a morning coffee or afternoon coffee without this. There's no way.
So it's time to say goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Olsen. Mr. Olsen standing here holding a...
Kringler.
Krangler.
In Danish is kringler, in American is kringles.
And how does it compare to what I had at this fellow's restaurant this morning, the what is it called?
Aebleskiver.
Okay. Aebleskivers.
Let's put it that way. For a Saturday morning, you can eat aebleskivers first, and then you have kringles for dessert.
You have them both.
Yes, that is exactly right. However, in Denmark, in my little island in Denmark, we put prunes inside the aebleskiver.
You don't put prunes in yours, do you?
No, can't do that.
Give it a try just for your own use. It is wonderful.
He's trying to put you out of business.
No.
I'm telling you to put prunes in your aebleskiver.
It'd be too hard to do for as many as I make.
Well, I know, of course it would be. But, you know, it's, for your own use, it's wonderful.
All right. That's the way it is
yes.
here at Olsen's Bakery. Our tour continues here at Solvang. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Now, as we were leaving your bakery, I spotted this picture of the King and Queen of Denmark. They came to Solvang.
The Queen and the Prince.
The Prince?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Because he's a Frenchman.
Uh-huh.
Well,
your wife is Italian.
Italian and Danes are good at that, to integrate like that. And,
but when they came to the United States, they wanted to come to Solvang?
They went Solvang for a day and a half, I believe it was.
Really?
Yeah,
and did they walk around and visit all the shops?
They walked around, but with very high security, obviously. Okay. But they visited the Danish church. They had lunch over at the Danish church, and they came around.
Did they have any of your Danish?
They had my kringler.
Kringler,
of course, yes.
And we noticed something else over here before we leave, too, that we had missed the first time, right up here over the bakery, over the counter.
Yeah, that's a Danish wedding cake, which is a almond cake, almond ring cake. Mm-hmm. It is made out of almond paste, ground almonds, and a little sugar, egg white.
And that's a traditional Danish wedding
traditional wedding cake, or party cake, or anniversary cake, or it covers many different occasions.
Boy, there is so much to see when you walk in these shops and start looking around. You kind of get a history and a cultural lesson just sitting around looking at what you got in your store here.
Surely, yes. Yeah. It's interesting. Denmark has a very, very interesting history. It really has. It goes, the Danish kingdom is, I believe, is the oldest kingdom in the world.
Okay, here it is on our historical sites walking tour, the Bethania Lutheran Church, dedicated in 1928. So from those very early days, religion was an important ingredient to the Danish life here in Solvang.
Yes, and as the town grew, it moved from downtown, where they first had school and church. They built this so they would have enough room for everyone.
Boy, that's a beautiful old church. Is that an official historic landmark?
Yes, it is. It is.
So it's not just on the tour. This is
exactly.
This is a big-time historical landmark.
Exactly.
And it's a very active Lutheran church today.
Yes, and once a year they even have Danish services.
What do you mean, Danish service?
Well, when you come, if you don't speak Danish, you won't know what the...
Oh, so they have the services in Danish once a year?
Absolutely.
And you said there was something inside the church we wanted to see.
Oh, you have to see it, Huell. Come on inside.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. As soon as we get in the sanctuary here, I bet you want to show me this model ship up here.
Yes, the Danes would hang these in all their churches because the Danish people were good at fishing, and those Vikings would go out to sea, and when they did their prayers, they would pray for the safe return of their sailors, fishermen, and Vikings.
Now, this is much later than the Vikings, so this is a continuing tradition that the Danes have of having these ships in their churches.
It's mainly found in all the Danish churches. You'll find a ship hanging from the ceiling.
Now, on the walking tour, can you come in the church and see the ship?
As long as the door is open. If the door is locked, there's a reason for it, and you just have to abide by the rules. But no, it's usually open every day.
This is so interesting to see this tradition carried on here in Solvang.
Yep. In Solvang, we carry on all parts of Denmark. That's part of our blood.
Frank wants to show us something.
Well, I wanted to show you this red shoe here, the famous red shoe in Solvang, right in front of the Solvang shoe store. People put their children in this shoe, and this is becomes kind of the unofficial postcard setting here in Solvang.
Now, how long has this red shoe been here?
Well, I tell you what, it's been here as long as I've been here, over 32 years. I took a picture of my son in here, and now children of all ages are. I've even seen bigger people sit in this shoe here, and one time we asked them to send their remembrance of it to us to put on our website, and we got hundreds of pictures and letters of people, showing their photo albums of their children sitting in this shoe.
So there are people who have photographs all over the world of their children sitting in this red shoe in Solvang.
Right here on this corner in this red shoe.
And how do they sit in it?
Well, the children just, most children can just sit in with their feet.
Sit in it
like a bobsled.
Like this?
There you go. Now Huell Howser is going to be.
But I mean, this is kind of silly sitting here like this.
It's silly, isn't it? Can you just tell these people looking at you?
Sitting in the red shoe.
Sitting in the red shoe. Now you're famous too.
The tour continues here in Ingeborg's Handmade Danish Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you, sir.
You're a Dane.
Yes, I am.
You came here from Denmark.
I came in Denmark in 1965, so I've been here about 37 years.
Now, a lot of people in Denmark know about Solvang, right?
Yes,
you had heard all these stories about it.
Yes, I have, and they do know a lot, and a lot of them do come and visit when they do come here to California.
All right, now we're here to talk about chocolate because you make chocolate here.
Yes, that's correct.
Danish chocolate.
Yes, that's correct. Ingeborg came from Denmark, and she did have a shop in Denmark, and she was a candy maker in Denmark. And then my wife and I bought the shop in 1976, and then we have been making it since '76. So we are, and all the recipes are from Ingeborg, So she came, maybe they're 70, 80 years old. Somewhat.
Old Danish recipes, chocolate made the Danish way.
That's correct.
And Bent has now brought us back to the kitchen to watch him make it by hand. And this is the time to ask you how Danish chocolate is different from American chocolate.
Well, Danish chocolate is not as sweet as a lot of American. There's more chocolate in it, and there are a lot more creams in it. And so like a filbert paste, and we're using a lot of marzipan, which is an almond paste. So it's not as sweet. It's rich, but not as sweet.
So the chocolate connoisseur can tell when they're eating Danish chocolate.
Yes, they can. You probably will have a hard time to sit down and eat 2 pounds of Danish chocolate. But yes.
Oh, look, it's coming out over here. Now, what are these called, Ben?
These are cashew clusters. And these are pure chocolate put on a bed of cashews, roasted cashews, and then we're sending them to the enrobing machine, and then they'll be ready to consume when they get in the other end.
Do Danes eat a lot of nuts?
Yeah, they like nuts, but they are very expensive.
In Denmark?
Cashews and all the nuts are very expensive in Denmark. They do like them, yes.
And what's the favorite chocolate in your store?
That is our almond paste, which is like an apricot, marzipan apricot, and then we have marzipan and raspberry, marzipan and nougat, and then the pure nougat bars. These are the most popular ones. And then we get into the chocolate mousse, the truffle line, and they like the chocolate truffles too.
So people come here knowing what they want.
There are a lot of people that come and say, I like this kind of, we are able to pack a special box for them, yes. And
wow, this looks great right here. Can I pick one of these up just right off the line?
No, they're not dry yet. They're still wet, but you can, when another, go through the cooling tunnel, then you can pick.
I mean, are they hot or can
No, they are about 32 degrees. You can pick it up, yeah. There's nothing, you know, yeah, you can eat it. Oh, yeah.
Just eat it just like that?
Oh, you're sure, yeah. That is the real stuff.
The real Danish stuff.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
From Danish chocolate, we have come almost next door to this beautiful, beautiful store. Look at all of this. What do you call this up on your wall over here?
This is the Royal Copenhagen porcelain, and what you're seeing is their annual Christmas plate.
Wow, Royal Copenhagen porcelain.
That's correct.
This is absolutely beautiful. I'm Huell Howser.
Stephen Nelson, I'm the owner.
Nice to meet you. And
I'm Birgit Nelson, I'm his mother.
Nice to meet you, and that's a great Danish accent you've got.
Yes, from Copenhagen.
I figured so. And?
Connie, I'm Steve's wife.
Are you from Denmark?
I'm an original import.
Oh, good. And we're here. Have you heard why we're here?
Well, I understand you're taking a tour of Solvang, and you're going to top it off with a taste of our national drink.
The national drink. Come here, Frank. This is the drink you were telling us about earlier.
I'm telling you about. And did you notice that the bottle is frosty?
Ah.
You see the frost in that?
So it has to be cooled down.
I think so. I think so.
And how do people drink this? What is the occasion that people drink this drink?
Well, my wife could probably tell you more about it. She's a chef, Danish chef. It's usually served with the fish portion on a Danish feast or frokost.
So people don't just sit around and drink this stuff?
Well, a lot of Danes do because it's so cold over there, and it's a good way to keep warm.
Ah, because see, Frank called it firewater. That's what you called
exactly.
it.
I think I did call it firewater, yes.
Yeah.
It's been called that before?
Absolutely.
Come on in, everybody. We're going to all, because I wanted Bent to come over from the chocolate store to have a little bit of this, because you said that you drank this a lot.
Yeah, we do have that when we have open-faced sandwiches, and then we, like Steve was saying, with herring. We got to have snaps to go along with that.
With an open-faced sandwich or with herring, but we don't have either one. Is it still okay to drink?
It's very
good appetizer.
Yes.
A good appetizer.
Yeah.
Come on, let's, and our host has got to have some. You've got some. Oh boy. Let's all turn around so we can get, what is this going to taste like?
Well, I would say it's like vodka. You drink it.
It's similar. It's a multi-grained
like
distill.
The Russians drink vodka. We drink this.
And it's called what again?
Aquavit.
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 Or the slang is snaps.
Snaps. So okay, here we go.
The tradition, Huell, is you look your companion in the eye. You say skål.
You say skål.
Skål.
And then you tip it back.
All the way, you finish the whole thing.
Skål.
Yeah.
Skål.
Skål.
Here we go.
The next one you just sip. You just sip the next one.
I'm feeling very Danish right now. Now, before we pulled out of Solvang, we had to come back to this shoe and get the full story. I am standing here with
Paul Handberg.
And
Max Handberg.
Okay, father and son.
My older brother.
You're the guy who started this whole thing. What's the story behind this red shoe?
Well, we were trying to get something that looked unique and that would attract people and be a benefit to the store and to Solvang. So we thought an enlarged version of a Danish træsko would be good.
What do you call this?
Træsko, that's a wooden claw. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
you put this thing out here how many years ago?
Oh, this goes back to 1966, I
Now,
believe.
did you have any idea when you put this shoe out here that it was going to become a local landmark?
Absolutely not.
How did this happen? How did it grow into what it has become?
Well, we've just set it out here, and people come by, and just as you saw earlier, they want to put their child in there and take a picture, and eventually they send them to us over the years, and it's become a family generation. They come here. We have 3 generations worth of pictures for one family in this shoe.
In the red shoe.
And
the little kids actually sit and put their feet up in the shoe.
They love it.
Because I just had my picture made straddling the shoe, because adults can do that as well.
Yeah, we get that picture too. Everybody loves it.
You were also telling me while we were getting the camera all set up that one day you took this in for a paint job, and what happened?
No, we take it in to get polished. We don't paint it.
Oh,
we took it in to get it polished, and a man came in, and he was just so violently mad because I'd taken it away. He brought his daughter out here from New York, and he just wanted to get another picture of his daughter in here, send it away. And so he had to stay around for an extra week to get the picture.
The idea is this shoe has to be out here or people get indignant.
They get very upset when it's not there.
See what you started?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when I started it. No.
And we're standing right here on the corner. What's the corner here?
Copenhagen and First.
And Copenhagen and First in front of the Solvang shoe store. And this is a must stop. Look, we've drawn a crowd right over here. Everybody, these people had just had their baby's picture made in the shoe. I mean, it's non-stop, isn't it?
Yeah, another story, we get a lot of people come in and say, "Where's the big shoe?" And I said, "It's out front where it's always been." And they said, no, you used to have a really big one. I said, "No, you used to be really small when you came here." Now it's the same shoe we've had for 20 years.
It's been sitting here right on the corner. Thank you all very much for filling us in on the entire shoe story. We came by here earlier today, and they told us a little bit about it, but when I met the people who started this whole thing, we had to come back and do a little fuller story on this thing.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, we have come just a couple of blocks from downtown Solvang because Jackie wanted to bring us to
the city of Solvang's Danish Heritage Museum, the Elverhoj.
The Danish Heritage Museum, and look, this is the first authentic Danish outfits we've seen. Ladies, you all look great.
Thank you.
This is the real stuff.
Thank you.
You're Danish?
Half Danish and half Norwegian.
Danish?
I'm British.
British?
I'm a quarter Danish.
A quarter Danish. Well, that's good enough. And what about you?
I'm 100% Danish.
Oh, good. I knew you must be the head guy.
You bet.
All right. Tell us what this is. I understand this used to be a house.
This is a Danish farmhouse built in 1949 through 1950 by the Brian Erickson family for their home. Mm-hmm. They made it their home for a number of years. He passed on. She lived here, raised her family. Later agreed to make it into a museum for the city of Solvang.
Of Danish heritage.
Complete
Can we
Danish
go
heritage.
inside and
Please
take a
do.
look? Ladies, after you, even though you're not full Danish. This guy is. We're going inside the Danish Heritage Museum. It's called the
Elverhoj.
Elverhoj.
And it's a Danish Heritage and Fine Arts Museum.
We are inside the museum, and Richard, we are first coming into the...
This is the kitchen. This is the family kitchen.
Look at the walls. Look at what is... Now, would this be what you would see on a traditional Danish kitchen wall?
In some Danish kitchens, this is exactly what it would look like.
Wow, this is beautiful. All hand done.
All hand done. We had it restored after we started the museum.
Look at the old light up here.
Beautiful old light.
Wow, you don't see stuff like this in American kitchens.
No,
we don't do our walls this way.
That's for certain. And this was the table that the family ate at.
Wow, okay, now this was a house. So we are walking through and into, what was this room right here?
This was Mr. and Mrs. Brian Erickson's bedroom, which it is now into a room that's filled with old artifacts, which shows the trundle bed that children used to sleep in, the sleeping quarters. All the family activities in the early days took place in one room.
So this is a collection of a lot of antiques, Danish antiques, that show the kind of implements and furniture and things they would have had.
Correct.
Okay, now we're going through kind of a maze here of exhibits and pictures and all kinds of memorabilia, and we end up in a room that, this is a very formal looking room.
This is an extremely formal room, and it's a replication with authentic Danish furniture of what they used to call the best room.
The best room?
The best room was used for the best guests. And the best guests would arrive 2 or 3 times a year. They would have the finest furniture.
Can we walk in here?
Certainly. The pipes were on the walls.
The pipes where they would smoke.
And then they would all smoke. And then the heater would be turned on so the room would be warmed. Has the traditional table around it.
And would the room have been this small?
Oh, yes.
Because Danish houses were smaller.
They were small, but also they were hard to heat. So they had small windows and small rooms.
This really gives you an idea of what a Danish farmhouse would have been like.
At the upper end of the financial scale, this is what it would look like.
Oh, this is rich people would have lived here.
Very comfortable people, yes.
Excuse me if I'm slurring my words a little bit. I just finished drinking a shot of that
aquavit. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff.
Whoa!
Mm-hmm. Gives you lots of energy and keeps you warm.
I don't know. I'm ready to take a nap.
Yes.
Is that part of the history of...
what you need to do is drink 3 of them, then you don't want a nap.
What do you want?
You want to go party then.
Okay, we are ending up outside the museum. I mean, this is just as pretty as it gets right here. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful tour.
You're welcome, Huell. You know you're always welcome to Solvang.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Huell.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Huell.
Thank you all. Y'all look just great.
Thank you.
Come on, let's all bundle up here.
Come again.
I will. You got a gift for me here?
Yes, Hugh would like to give you this.
Can you eat this? Can you drink this?
You can't drink it, but you can drink while you're watching it.
Oh, what is this?
It's tapes of the old Solvang families, visual audio history of the old families of Solvang, and a lot of the history that went on.
Well, there is a lot of history here, and I stand corrected because I've said earlier, you all didn't hear this, but I started off the program by saying I'd been avoiding Solvang all these years because I thought it was a tourist trap.
Oh, no.
And here it is, this wonderful, wonderful place that is so rich in history and so authentic and so real and so wonderful. And you can just walk around and see the sights, and you can eat and drink yourself silly here and come by the museum and get some culture. And it's just a beautiful setting here in Santa Barbara County. It just couldn't be any better. We have had an absolutely wonderful day here. Thank everybody in town for being so friendly and so nice. And what percentage of the residents do you think are actually Danish these days?
I'd say about 30%, you know, if you count the Norwegians and Swedes as well.
Because we've met a lot of Italians, we met some Brits, we've met all kind of people here. Only 30% are actually have Danish ancestry. But the wonderful thing that we have learned from this road trip is that when you come to Solvang, everybody is an honorary Dane, right?
Right.
Goodbye, everybody. Come see us in Solvang. We've had a wonderful, wonderful day. everybody. I'm Huell Howser. And if you enjoyed our road trip to a little bit of Denmark right here in California and would like to see it again or share it with your family and friends, all you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727 and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.
Road Trip with Huell Howser has been made possible by the Automobile Club of Southern California.
Wherever you're headed on your next road trip, the Auto Club knows the territory. For travel tips or comprehensive destination information, as well as booking your next family vacation, our website is a great first stop on any journey, no matter how far away your destination may be. Through all life's travels, we're always with you.